Hello, everyone, and welcome to Business Conversations with Gaitha. My name is Gaitha, and I run a company called Regal Africa, where we help our clients create wealth. We are all about creating wealth, and what we say is for you to create wealth, you either have to make that money through business profit or through investment income. Today, we'll be doing something a little bit different from our usual conversations, where I have guests on the show who then we have insightful conversations about business. Today, really, I will be talking about the steps that you need to take in order for you to be successful. So a lot of people have been calling me up saying, you know what, I want to start up a business. Or I've been in business and because of the pandemic, I've had to pivot out of my business or I've had to make a lot of changes. So I really need to know what steps do I need to take. And for this reason, I ended up writing a startup guide, if I may put it, called BiasharaPlan Startup Guide, which are the 30 steps that you need to take in 30 days for you then to actually establish a successful business. And this is very particular for SMEs. So today what I thought to do is actually take the time to just highlight 10 of the 30 steps that I think you need to think about. And what we can do is then have a discussion about, are these really important? Because in our point of view at Regal Africa, which is the company that I founded, we realized that for businesses that don't take the right steps during their foundation are actually in a position whereby they do not have the ability to scale up. Because at Regal Africa, specifically the Regal Africa Business Institute, which is something that we just set up this year, is to really say, how do we help at least 1 million startups in Africa to actually create the right foundation for them to be able to be successful, sustainable, and really successful in everything that they do, that they have to be scalable, sustainable, and successful. So we'll take the next couple of, the next hour or so to really go through this discussion around the 10 steps that you need to take in order for you to be successful as a startup. And then you can be able to ask me any questions and I can then go ahead and highlight that. Now we do have people on Facebook who join us on Facebook and also on Zoom. So again, if you have any questions, just make a point to just write them on the chat room, or if you're on Facebook, just go ahead and write them down and I will be sure to answer those questions for you. So let me go ahead and just give me a moment so that I can share my screen so that we can just start these steps. And like I say, today we'll be highlighting 10 steps that you need to take in the next 30 days so that then you can be able to have the right foundation for a successful business. And again, welcome everyone to the Business Conversations with Gaitha. All right, let me go ahead and just share my screen with you in just a moment as we start this conversation today. All right. I hope you can all see my screen, and the focus again today is BiasharaPlan. BiasharaPlan, BiasharaPlan, because every business needs a plan. If you don't plan, you plan to fail basically. So it's very important as a business and to be successful that you have this business plan. I'll go ahead and just log on again to my Facebook to just make sure people are joining in before I start this Business Conversations with Gaitha. So bear with me for just a moment as I log on to my Facebook page. All right, so I do see some people have joined me, so we can go ahead and just start this conversation. So like I said, our focus really at the Regal Africa Business Institute is really to support SMEs in Africa. SMEs in Africa are very important. They're economic engine for Africa to prosper. I always say trade, not aid, is what's going to develop this continent. And so I believe that the role of business is very critical in Africa development through economic growth and wealth creation. Business, I believe, is the only sustainable way to eradicate poverty on the African continent. As a banker by profession, as an investment expert, I always hear people say, capital is what I need, capital is what I need. But I always say, by itself, access to capital does not guarantee success of business and the creation of jobs. There are very many steps that you need to take And you have to plan, manage, and analyze. And like I mentioned, today we'll be highlighting 10 steps that you need to take in order for you to be successful in your startup. So I'll go right in and just say, out of the 30 steps, the first one you really need to do is market research. Market research is very important. I cannot highlight more the importance of market research, because for you to be in business and for you to be successful in business, you have to be in a position where you know, what does the market want? What does the market need? Because whatever the market wants and needs and is willing to pay for is who is going to be able to give you money and become your client. So doing market research, analyzing the industry that you are, is what's going to make the difference between you as a successful business and you not being so successful. And what I always say is you need to get support from a business consultant or advisor, because they understand that industry or are willing to look at it from a different point of view, so that they can guide you and your business to make sure that you are successful. So market research is very important, because it gives you that light bulb moment where you're like, aha, this is what my customer needs and this is what I'm going to give them. And I'm telling you, COVID has shown us that, you know what, business as usual is not the right thing to do. We need to have transformational businesses that are going to create impact and also make money for all of us. Then the next thing, one of the steps that I always say you need to do is actually have a company registered. I cannot tell you how many people that I meet who are doing business and they don't have a registered business. And the question is, are you seriously in business or are you just trying it out? Because if you want to have a successful business, you have to come out from that side hustle mentality. You have to come out from, I'm just trying. You have to be very sure that this is a business you want to take in and you want to establish a company structure. We always recommend a limited liability company, because in the future, if you ever plan to have an investor in your business, right? If you want somebody to come in and put money into your business so that your business expands, then you need to have the right company structure. And so a limited liability company would be much better than just a business name. So the first two steps that I think every startup needs to do is have market research and analysis of their business, and then the company registration. I'll go ahead and then go to the third and fourth steps that I think you need to take. And these are not in order. These are just, like I said, the top 10 that I picked out. But what you can do is, once you buy the Biashara Startup Guide, which is only $500, which is only 500 shillings, which is $5, then you can be able to actually see all the 30 steps that I believe you need to take in order for you to be successful. Now, the next thing which I will spend some time today just focusing on is really the business model canvas. This is something, if you're in business, the last couple of years, you've had a lot being discussed around this, especially the last couple of decades. I remember really seeing this for the first time when I was doing my MBA, and really looking at these 9 blocks and saying, this is really a great thing for you to do. You need to actually understand your business model in order for you to now be able to set up a business plan that will take you from where you are to where you want to be. Because remember, as a business person, you just want to be successful. You want to be successful. So what you want to do is just make sure that you're doing the right thing in order for you to be successful in your business. So I will just go ahead real quick and just talk about the business model canvas for just a moment, because like I said, there are 9 different blocks that I believe are very important for this. So the first thing that you want to think about is, what is your value proposition? It's right at the start of the business model canvas. What is your value proposition? Because what is it that you're offering to your customers? What makes you different? That is what's going to distinguish you from just any business to a successful business. So you have to think about it, be very clear about it, so that you can be able to then articulate it to the stakeholders that you have, be it your employees, be it your suppliers, be it your, your clients. What is it that your business is all about? Again, another thing which is very important is your key activity. What are the key activities in your business that are going to make sure that you stay in business and that you're successful in business? Key partners are very important. We have realized that we're in a season where it's no longer about competition, but it's about collaboration. If you're going to get ahead in the next season. It is always about collaboration. How do you work together for the good so that you have impact and that you make money? So understanding who your key partners to ensure that your business is successful is actually going to be very important. And then the other thing we have are your key resources. What are the resources that you need? What is the money that you need in order for you to be successful? What is the talent that you need in order for you to be successful? What is it that you need to know? What are those resources? And once you understand those resources, then you'll be able to actually make the right decision to make sure that you have them in order for you to have a successful business. The other part, and I'll go real quick here, is customer relationship. I know right now we're in a digital age where everything is technology. So we, as business people, look at it like, oh, the technology will do it for itself. But there's nothing as important as personal relationships with your customers. So you need to find out, do your customers want to engage in person? Do they want to do it over the phone? Do they want to do it on email or an app? Building those customer relationships and supporting them how they want to be supported is very, very critical. And then the different channels. I can tell you for right now, I'm giving you a talk here online on Zoom, which is also on Facebook Live. That's one channel through technology. But also there's the one-on-one channels that I do with my business plan. There's the group channels that I do. So there are different ways to reach your clients, and you need to understand them so that you are able to take advantage of all the channels so that you are able to do the right kind of business. And then you also need to understand your customer segment, right? Is it retail? Is it institutional or corporate? Understanding your customers, what they need is also very critical. And then your cost structure, that is very important because you have to understand what does it take for me, what the cost structure, so that you are not actually spending more than you need. You need to be very clear about the costs and the expenses that are incurred in your business so that you can price your service or your goods right. Because if you don't price them right, then you will not be able to serve your clientele, and it will be very hard for you to generate the revenue that you need, which then comes to the last block, which is the revenue stream. I always say you need to have multiple revenue streams because as we've all seen lately in the last couple of months, you can't rely on one stream of income. You also cannot rely on only one stream of products. Yes, you don't want to extend yourself too thin, but what you want to know is you want to have different revenue streams so that if one is affected for whatever reason, business goes on, because that is how you end up having a successful business, which can be able to mitigate, can be able to weather the storms in times of problems, depending what it is. So really understanding your business model, taking time to work with a consultant to make you think through this will then enable you now to actually put together a good business plan that says, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and taking those steps to make sure that you do it right. And really understanding the numbers and the financial model and saying, these are the projections, so that you are very clear on where you are as a business and where you want to go. So I hope with those first 4 steps as a startup business, you're starting to get the idea that it's just not one thing you need to do. There are many things that you need to do, but it's very easy. And like I said, you can take these steps in 30 days and it will position you for greatness. Then the next thing I want to talk about really is about how you position yourself to the world. And 2 things that I always say, whenever you're talking to your clients, you really need to provide some kind of marketing material, right? So you need to have a company profile that says, this is what I do, right? These are the services I offer, these are the goods that I offer, be it a brochure. Really, it's about stating what it is that you do so that your potential customers are very clear on what it is that you do. Because if you're not clear, then they can't become your customers. So it's very important that you actually have a company profile that is well designed, that really can showcase what it is that you're doing and why people should do business with you. Now, for us, of course, knowing it's a digital age, for some of us, anytime I want to do business with anyone or any business, I Google them. So that's the first thing that I do, I Google them. And if I Google them and I don't see a company website, then I ask myself, is this business really serious, right? Creating an online presence is very, very important. You need to have a company website so that people can actually look and see what it is that you do. Maybe they can see the team. Maybe they can just see the services. They can see what you've been doing in your social media. Really, there are different things that you need to do that would then position yourself so that when someone Googles you, they can actually trust that you're a legitimate business and that they would want to do business with you. One of the things that I'm also encouraging people to do is actually have a live chat. A live chat is critical because people would ask questions online, right? Maybe they don't have time to call you or email you, but if there's somebody who's already online, they can actually ask a quick question and someone will be able to answer that and they might be able to make that decision to do business with you. So again, those are the things that I think are very, very important that you want to take into consideration as you grow your business. All right. So as we go along, I will go ahead and continue talking about the steps that I believe you need to take in the next 30 days. Fintech. I'm very passionate about financial technology. I think it's very transformational. Maybe it's because I'm a former banker and really realized that technology was going to change the financial service industry. And I can tell you it's happening right before our eyes. Things we never thought before are happening. We're all going cashless. We're doing digital trade and digital payments. And so as a business, you need to be able to have some of these tools. And I highlight them right here because one of the things I always say, you need to establish a payment platform. If you're doing business online or even in person and someone wants to pay and they don't have cash, you need to be able to give them options. And so the first thing, especially if you're in Kenya, I'm highlighting here a mobile payment platform, which is M-Pesa Paybill or M-Pesa Till Number. This is really gotten by one of our telecommunication companies called Safaricom, whereby someone can be able to pay from their phone to you as a business person. And it's very easy to establish, and you just have to be, again, a legitimate registered business for the company to be able to give you this payment number. This is just a good way for you to be able to get payment as a business as opposed to just waiting for cash. Because most of the time, some people might not have cash, but they want to pay. So what options are you giving them? So you need to position yourself very well and say, this is the options that I'm giving you in regards to payment, and this is what you can use. Now, again, beyond mobile money, people have, their debit cards, their credit cards, they want to pay. So one of the things I always say, you really want to work with a payment platform. With an online payment platform, that's what I recommend, whereby you can actually be able to get money online, right? So if you have an online presence, for example, you have your website, you have your social media, and people are buying these products online, you need to be able to give them a platform for them to be able to execute the sale. And I highlight some companies in Kenya like PesaPal DPO Group, and internationally, I personally use PayPal. So that's good. And even in the US, there's a company called Zelle where you can do transfer of money on your mobile phone. Again, what I'm saying, as a business person, you need to have this option. You need to be able to have these options to give them to your clients so that if they want to pay, they can pay. Now, this is usually if you have retail customers, right? Retail customers will sort of pay this way, but I also see online payment for B2B transaction, and that is becoming a thing that is happening. So you do not want to say no to business because you don't have these solutions. Another thing that I encourage businesses to do is really acquire a prepaid card to make online payments. For example, right now I'm on Zoom. I really don't want to use my credit card. I don't want to use my debit card that is linked to my bank account. So what I can do is actually acquire a prepaid card where I put money that I want to use for my business or for certain automated transactions. And when I have it on my prepaid card, then now I can use it to make payments. I can make payments, let's say on Zoom, on Google, on Amazon. I can use it where Visa or MasterCard is accepted depending on what the prepaid card is. And it's very easy to do that. You can walk into any bank or, you can actually get virtual prepaid cards. So as a business person, as you're trying to actually separate your transactions and you want to mitigate risk in regards to fraud in your bank account or in your credit card, using a prepaid card is something that I say is very, very important. And a virtual prepaid card, even better. And of course, if you want to know which cards you want to use, you can reach us out at Regal Africa, and we will be glad to give you more information on that. As we keep going, like I say, today was just 10 steps, but there are many steps that you need to take, well, 30 steps, and you can do all this in 30 days. The next steps that I think are very important for a business to do is this: financial management. I cannot tell you enough about this. Just being in the industry where people come in and they say they want to get funding, right? They're looking for someone to invest in their business. They're looking for someone to give them either debt or, they're looking for an equity investor. And unfortunately, they do not keep their books. No one will be able to give you money unless they understand your business. And if they give you money because they don't understand your business, they're going to charge you such high interest rates that it is not affordable for you, and then your cost goes up. So for you to run a very successful startup, you really need to pay attention to your finances. And so one of the things I keep telling people is, this era, no more papers, exercise books, no more using Excel. That's outdated. Right now, you need to start using accounting softwares. And there are accounting softwares out there that are run by really good companies, international companies, that really you can trust. So it's about you going in, looking at the features and seeing what this is. And I've highlighted a few things of that nature. They can be actually uploaded onto your computer or your desktop. Or even better, what I use an online accounting software. Why? Because I travel a lot. I do things online. I'd rather just send somebody a quotation or an invoice from the comfort of my home or on my phone when I'm with them. So what I use is actually an online accounting software. So one of the steps that you need to take as a startup is to set up an accounting system so that you're able to keep track of your revenues, keep track of your expenses. So then now you can really understand your business better. And I'll go into that because I feel like a lot of business people don't pay attention to this, because at the very beginning as a startup, you're really trying to mitigate the costs, right? You really don't want to spend too much money because again, you're trying to see how this business will grow. So you try and cut costs. Everyone is told to cut costs, right? So this is where I actually see people saying, you know what, I don't want to spend money paying an accountant. So what I want to do is really do it myself. And I said that might be fine, but you have to understand what it is that you're doing. So one of the things I've been encouraged a lot of people to do, which is something that we offer at Regal Africa, is really to outsource your accounting and audit, right? At a very affordable cost, you can actually have accounting outsourcing, where you have a knowledgeable person will come in, do your books, generate your management accounts, help you do your taxes at a very affordable rate, because you're not putting them in your office full time. This is very important because once you have somebody who's very knowledgeable, who's keeping your books, then now you start preparing these financial statements that will enable you to make financial decisions. This is where I say, even as a startup, you need to start doing financial analysis. As you're creating your books in a couple months in, you'll start seeing some of the things about your business. You start understanding your revenues, start understanding your expenses, and then now you start making decisions about, how do I improve my revenues? How do I manage or reduce my costs? And that is where you're able to now actually make great decisions and strategic decisions through the data that you get on your financial statement that will enable you to actually grow your business. And we say, even at the point where you want to go in and look for funding and you cannot afford a great CFO who has great experience, you can actually get a virtual CFO. So what I am saying, as a startup, there are solutions that are cost effective that will enable you to run a successful business. And having great financial management solutions is important, with an accounting software, with outsourcing your accounting, your audit, and even financial statement analysis. That's very critical in order for you to run a very successful startup. And I can go on and on and on, but I'm almost ending my presentation. And of course, like I said, if you have any questions, just go right in and I will be able to answer that, or you can reach out to us at Regal Africa, at BiasharaPlan@regalafrica.co.ke, where we'll be able to support you in regard to running, setting up your startup and running it effectively. Now, this is the last thing I'll do before I answer any questions, if you may have them, so that I can then be able to support you in regards to running a successful SME. Because remember, it's the business conversations with Gaitha. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have, because normally if you come to my business, then, for any business advisory services, there is an expert who will be able to help you for a fee. So I just wanted to talk about the BiasharaPlan flowchart, right? Because like I said, with the business, it's everything about system, processes. And this is just very basic, because like I said, I've been getting a lot of questions from a lot of people who are just starting up, who are thinking about business and really are saying, where do I start? Where do I go? So like I said earlier, you just need to register a company, get your carry pin. You just need to be very compliant, because I can tell you a lot of businesses don't get successful because they miss opportunities. They miss opportunities because they're not compliant, right? So you want to make sure that you have all your documentation. You also have to open up a bank account so that you can start building relationships with your bank, because eventually if you want to borrow, you needed to have made a relationship with your relationship manager at the bank, because they would have understood your business. So opening up a bank account with the right bank that supports businesses or SMEs is very critical. Then you need to then now do financial management, which is what I talked about, the accounting outsourcing services that we offer at Regal Africa. Because if you cannot do it yourself, you want to get a professional, but an affordable cost. And then the next thing is really business support services. There are very many business support services. And in fact, when you get the Biashara Startup Guide, you will see all these services that you may need. And also, I have put suggestions on certain companies you can reach out to, because I always say you can't give people information halfway, right? So it's about giving you direction. It's about giving you direction about what you need to do in order for you to be successful as a startup. And then at the very end, for you to invest, you need to create revenue. So I always say it's about sell, 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 right? And if you can't do it yourself, hire a sales team. There are people out there who are really good, who are able to position your product in the marketplace and let people know exactly what it is that you're offering. And as long as you're providing a good service or providing the right goods, then people will buy them. People will buy them. They just need to know that you exist. And then the last thing that I always say, for every business, you need financial analysis, because you really have to understand your business. And I always say your financial statements are very important, because numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie, right? They tell a story. So I can always look at your financial statement and really decipher, what is it are you doing as a business? What is it that you can do better? And what is it that you need to correct? And really it enables you to actually have goals and say, this is what I want to do. And remember, we talked about financial projections earlier. And this is really, really important as you're doing a business plan. And I think with that, I have highlighted 10 of the 10 of the steps that I think that every business needs to do, at least if you're a startup, that will enable you to be successful, right? Those are basic steps, and you can do them in 30 days. And I believe that this is the time as things are changing. Things are changing. We're becoming more, there's digital transformation happening. You want to do things the right way. So if you actually take these steps, they'll make you be in a better position than if you didn't take them. And like I said, they might seem basic, but a lot of businesses don't do them. A lot of startups do not do them. And that is why they're not successful. And so with that, I will go ahead and start answering any questions that you may have. I see a few people have joined us on Zoom. If you could just write your questions on the chat, I can be able to go ahead and answer them. And also, if you're on Facebook, I see if people have joined in, I can be able to answer those questions, and we can continue these conversations around the steps you need to take as a startup. So I'll go ahead and wait for your questions as we continue these business conversations with Gaitha. All right. Anyone wants to write down their questions? Okay. All right. Do see a question here really around branding. I have talked about branding before, and it is one of the steps that you need to take, especially having a style guide, getting a designer. I just didn't highlight it because, like I said, there are 30 steps that you need to take, but I just didn't highlight it here today because I just sort of picked the 10 steps randomly. And I think if you want to know more information about that, we can actually discuss that, it may be other shows, or if you want to meet one-on-one with the business advisors at Regal Africa. But yes, branding is very, very important. But I think one of the things I mentioned, one of the steps that you need to have is really have a company profile, company website, because you need to actually have a presence. You need to actually have marketing material that will showcase the kind of services that you're offering. So yes, branding is important, but like I said, I didn't highlight it, but it is one of the things that you want to do. And I just want to sort of highlight some of the things that have been happening the last couple of weeks. For example, there's a business, which is our family business, which is called Eva's Events. We're in the event planning and events management company. And what we did the last couple of months is really revamp the presence online and coming up with a new website. So you can actually go to www.evasevents.co.ke, and you can actually see the new website that we've just done. Just because, again, we realized that even with the changes that are happening in the events world, we needed to up our game as a business, so that then now people can actually see what it is that we're offering, be it, private parties, be it corporate events, be it weddings. So again, those things are very important, and those are the steps that you can take. Remember, in 30 days, which is just a month, you want to start up with steps, and you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You just want to make sure that you take the right steps, get the right professionals, and then they'll go ahead and assist you to be able to run a successful startup. Because if you have a good foundation, then you'll be able to scale up. So I hope I answered that question for you. And what I do have to say that there's a form that you can fill out if you want to purchase the BiasharaPlan Study Guide, which is only $5. And this is general for anyone around the world, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in the US, Asia, Europe. These are just basic things that all businesses need to do. And you can actually get them by emailing us at info or biasharaplan@regalafrica.co.ke. You can actually go to our social media at Regal Africa or at Gaitha, where we are live right now on Facebook, because I see a few people who are on Facebook. And we can then be able to share that with you, at least the link, so you can go ahead and purchase that. So yeah, so that is what's going on in regards to the BiasharaPlan Study Guide, because I think it's very, very important for you to start right as a business. I don't see any more questions coming in. Maybe I can go ahead. I do see Rose on the call. Would you want to ask a question so that I can answer it in regards to your business? Because I'm assuming you're a business person. That's why you are on this call, to have conversations with myself so that I can support you with that. So Rose, do you have a question for me? You can type it on the chat, or you can ask the questions live. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for your conversations. I came in a little bit late, so I want to just carry on a little bit, then I will see what to ask him. So thank you for now.
Oh, okay, Rose, that's understandable. In fact, I have just gone through the presentation. It was just 10 steps that I was highlighting that startups need to take, because we came up with a startup guide for 30 steps you need to take as a startup, especially people who are starting up businesses or are at least been in business 1 to 3 years, where it's a very trying time for businesses. So I just highlighted 10 of them. And so now this is the period where I was going to answer some questions. So again, the other people who are on the call, if you want to go ahead and ask questions, I can be able to answer them. But if you don't have any more questions, what I can do is then, like I said, you can reach us at BiasharaPlan@regalafrica.co.ke or info@regalafrica.co.ke, and I can answer any of your questions. But because this is the business conversations with Gaitha, if you have any more questions, let me know. If not, then I will just say we will see you next time. Today we were trying to do it a little bit different. Really today was just highlighting something that the audience has been asking. Usually we have guests. In fact, next week we'll be having guests who will be talking preliminary about family businesses in Africa, next generation. How do you manage that? And for everyone who knows me, who knows I'm very passionate about creating generation wealth, it will be a very great conversation for you guys to join in. We have people from all over Africa. We'll be having that discussions from West Africa, me in East Africa, someone from South Africa, really talking about that. But today was a little bit different, really talking about startups. How do you start up right so that you can have a successful, sustainable, and scalable business? All right, so I can go ahead. I don't see any more questions. So with that, I think we will call it a day today. It was very interesting. Like I said, I was just something different that I was trying out. And I really wanted to find out from people who have startups, what are their issues, so that I can be able to guide them on that. And so with that, I'll say thank you again for joining Business Conversation with Gaitha. I started this show so that I could be able to support people, especially SMEs in Africa, who really need the information that will enable them to actually have successful, sustainable, and scalable business, especially during these trying times where there's a lot of transformation that is happening. You need to position yourself well. And so with that, I'll say thank you again for joining us, and I will see you next week. Have a good day. Bye-bye. All right.